Welcome to the LongBox Paradox, episode 99, almost to 100 next week. Thank you for joining us, those of you who did come in, which I don't see anybody yet, but I am Dan, your host, and my lovely co-host, as always, Jennifer. Comics Will Break Your Heart, or Comic Books Will Break Your Heart on Instagram, and we're joined by viewer, fellow YouTuber, and Lovecraft enthusiast, Varangian Vigilante. So nice to have you on. Talk about your channel and your shows that you have going on with Stay Puft.
Yeah. Hey, first of all, greetings to all the ghouls that are watching, since it's almost midnight here in Austria. Yeah, I started my YouTube channel, I don't know, 3 years ago. It started basically as a movie reviewing channel because I'm writing for an Austrian movie site, Uncut.at, and I figured when I'm writing reviews in German anyway, I just translate them and do them in a shortened versions here on YouTube, because I just wanted to try this. And in the beginning, it was quite irritating because that's the first time when you have a camera on you, it feels like somebody's holding you at gunpoint. But that changed with the time, and I became more comfortable. And then Rod from Just a Weekend hit me up because he has seen that I'm also a big comic book fan, and he invited me to his show. And well, then also started to put my love for comics on my channel. So my channel is basically about movie reviews and talking about comic books. Most of all, of course, Sword and Sorcery, which is my big love as a big Conan enthusiast. And also I love horror. I love everything that is weird, everything that is offensive. I absolutely dig that shit. And since a few weeks, I also have every Friday a live show with the nice gentleman you just put his comment here on the screen, Sean, Stay Puft 1983. And we're talking about movies every Friday, discussing everything from action to horror, sword and sorcery, comic book adaptations, and basically it's just us two talking movies, and whoever listens. It's just a big fun, and I think this is also the most important thing here on YouTube is don't mind who's watching, just do what you love, and if somebody's
Definitely.
watching, then the better.
By the way, you guys did John Carpenter retrospective the other day, which John Carpenter is completely like my jam, obviously. Big Trouble in Little China and They Live are probably two of my favorites. The Thing, of course, is just one of the greatest practical effects movies ever made, in my opinion.
Big Trouble in Little China is my number one John Carpenter movie.
Ooh.
And They Live was in my top 5, number 5. Absolutely love both of these movies.
Like we always do, we'll start at, did you bring any comics with you to discuss? Okay, so we've been reading the Ten of Swords or X of Swords, whatever you want to call it. So let's go ahead and dive into that and get it out of the way early.
Yeah, because like typically, if you watch our show, you know that we talk about 3 comic book. Like typically, we both bring 3 comic books kind of to the table. I feel like the last couple weeks have been such heavy weeks that I'm just like, okay, I'm going to talk about all 20 comic books that I picked up. So yeah, this week was another like 3 Ten of Swords week.
So I'll just put it out there. Hellions was the most ridiculous book I have read in a long time.
I don't know if it's because Hellions is the one that I don't I barely picked it up from the beginning of the whole Dawn of X thing. I'm trying to go ahead and find it. But
Mr. Sinister talking with a clone of his and then ending up playing rock, paper, scissors. Amused me to no end.
Oh, it did amuse you? I hated it. I hated Hellions so much. I
normally hate that book. It was just the Mr. Sinister stuff that I thought was hysterical.
And that one, let me go ahead and think, because this week was Hellions, New Mutants, and then Cable. Um,
I like New Mutants a lot
yeah.
because it was magic heavy.
Yeah. And of course I love magic. So, yeah, the least enjoyable part of this series this week for me was Hellions, and it kind of surprises me because that's the one that I'm like, oh, I really like the variant cover. Let me go ahead and pick it up. So I got the variant cover and the regular cover. So
Yeah, overall, I think the 3 that came out this week were less enjoyable than last week's.
yeah, and even Cable. I didn't enjoy Cable as much as I normally do, because normally I'm like, I fucking love Cable.
But they snuck in magic, giving him the thirst look at the end of the book.
Yeah, I was like, is there going to be like a weird romance between Cable and Magic? That was kind of weird, and I was almost there for it. I'm like, if it happens, it happens. I'm okay with it, but
Fuckboy Cable's my favorite Cable right now.
for sure, he's the Cable that we needed, not the Cable we deserved.
Well, we didn't deserve the Liefeld one either.
Yeah, that's true.
So overall, I'm probably at 6.5 for these 3.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be the arc that like dips, and then hopefully, because next week is only 2, and then the following week is 1, and then we're at 11. Is that my?
I think so. Yeah, we're right about there.
Yeah, that math sounds correct, because it sounds like they're going to be like at a halfway point at 11 for the 22 series. So yeah, overall I'm loving the 10 of Swords series a lot. This week just didn't do it for me the same way that like last week with Wolverine and Storm, like those ones I absolutely loved. These ones I didn't love as much, so we'll see.
Gotcha. What you got, Vigilante?
I think I own 3 X-Men books. I have the 2 issues with Kulan Gath because they're sword and sorcery related, and Kulan Gath is one of my favorite Marvel characters. And I have the issue where Dr. Doom beat all the Doombot beat all the X-Men, and he has Storm in his arm.
I forget which one that is. Yeah.
I think I have it in here because I have not cleaned in a while, and I have a bunch of comics laying around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yes. I used to own that one.
Yeah,
long time ago.
This cover is just killer. Currently from Marvel, I only read Savage Avengers, Conan, Thor, and the Doctor Doom. So,
I just read I caught up on Savage Avengers. I don't know what to think of that book still. There's moments I really like, and then other moments I'm just like, what is this?
Actually, it's fun because the X-Men crossover with Kulan Gath back in the day will actually play, I think, in the next story arc into Savage Avengers. Tomorrow I will read the recent issue. I absolutely love the cover. It's very Lovecraft-esque.
Yes.
And I absolutely love that Gary Duggan currently writes the most authentic Conan at Marvel. His Conan is really feels like out of Robert E. Howard's pages, and yet somehow it totally fits within the Marvel universe. I was very skeptical about this comic in the beginning, and it turns out to be my favorite Marvel comic at the moment. So it really combines the savagery and the wonders of sword and sorcery, and it has really the kind of magic what I love about Marvel, the Lovecraft-esque horror style of magic, like you can see in the early Doctor Strange issues, and of course the backstory of Doctor Doom, where he has basically his goal is to save his mother from Mephisto, and these characters just work so well together, especially the issues where you have Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom.
I know, like, when Conan relaunched, I got really excited that Roy Thomas was going to be writing a couple of issues, and I actually thought those were the weakest issues.
I actually like those the most from the... I like the stories by Roy Thomas the most, and the stories by Sub the most from the Savage Sword of Conan title.
Yeah.
I made a video the day where I talked about why I thought that the Savage Sword of Conan, the rerun, failed. And I think it was right from the beginning. A Savage Sword of Conan is such an iconic title. and them rebooting it just as a comic, not in magazine form, and most of all, taking all the sexuality out of Conan, which is a core part of the Conan mythology, obviously. So it felt very tame, and it didn't felt any edgier than the ongoing Conan, and so the title itself was very reluctant.
Okay.
I'm not reading like any Conan or anything like that, so that just all sounded very beautiful to me.
Yeah, our other co-host for the book club, Gambit, is a huge Conan fan, and that's like his jam. And the relaunch like that for a while, those were the only singles he was buying. That?
Yeah, because also you have a lot of there's a certain symbiosis of cosmic horror, Lovecraftian, and so on and so forth from Robert E. Howard, because both writers had an exchange with letters. And there's also, I think, Clark Ashton Smith, who basically combined the Hyborian Age with cosmic horror, which is not, I think, not canon of both, but somehow it is, or in some multiverse or anything. And I think that the Savage Avengers run really gets both the vibes right, without being a knockoff of cosmic horror.
Yeah.
Jen, what's your?
Got it. I don't know. I'm gonna try to keep it to 3 today because I feel like we've got a lot to talk about with this movie.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna have some thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. I have so many thoughts. Let me go ahead. Because there was a lot going on this week. Let me go ahead and take a look at what I got. I'm just gonna go ahead and show this one off. I know that you and I briefly spoke about it, and that's Rorschach. My thoughts on it was, I dig that they're introducing this new character into it. That's like his daughter, I guess. Spoiler alert. But I really feel like this is not a great title.
They're trying too hard.
Yeah, and I feel like basically everything that I had already known about what was going, because I knew that they were going to introduce this new like character into it, and I knew that where it was going to be. I didn't feel like I learned anything new about the character, about what's going on. It wasn't anything new to me at all. So I'm not loving it. I don't know. Slightly disappointed. Womp womp. Sorry about that.
It is exactly what I expected.
I think that I did buy it just to spite you just a little bit, because I'm like, oh, he's gonna fucking hate this. Of course I'm gonna buy it. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad.
Oh, no. When Dylan starts warning me in message, like, I knew.
Yeah, to be honest, like I said, it wasn't bad, but I just feel like this first issue could have been better for the first issue in a series, and it didn't do it for me. Like, is it going to be better the next issue? I don't know. Am I going to end up hate reading and hate picking up the next couple issues? Maybe. So we'll see.
I'm not buying anything by Tom King.
I don't
Stay
think
puffed.
Dan
There's
is
no way
either.
you can be burned out from watching too much Carpenter. There's no way. Unless you watch Vampires, then I don't blame you.
I love vampires.
Oh my god, I got a lot to say about that movie. Oh god,
I got a lot of wood watching it, like mahogany.
Oh boy.
So, overall, for Rorschach, I probably would have given it like a 6 out of 10, which I think in my book, because I'm even like more optimistic, is like a 2 in my book. The artwork was really good. I enjoyed that. So.
Wow, John, I could not disagree more with your first two.
I didn't pick up We Live, and I didn't like Hellions, and New Mutants was okay, but...
We Live, the art turned me off.
Really?
Yeah, Anaki Miranda, like, it's just not for me.
Alrighty. So what's your next pick?
We've talked about it before. Commanders in Crisis came out.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of touching on what we did before, this was my second read on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yours, I got the Peach Momoko cover as well because I just like Peach's artwork. I almost got the Stepan Sejic one. I did like that.
I think this was the only one that I saw available, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'll pick up the Peach Momoko one.
Interesting book. Again, if you're looking for a book with representation, Steve Orlando went way out of his way to have a representation of everything. You had your LGBTQ plus, different ethnicities. They're all presidents on their own worlds. It was a very busy book. Still a second read. It's just way too much going on, way too fast.
I feel like I enjoyed the second read more than I enjoyed the first one. I don't know if it's just because when I read the first one, it was an advanced copy, so I was just scrolling through my phone and reading it. So I think being able to read it on paper and explore more of the artwork all at once, I enjoyed it a lot more. I know when I first read it, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to like this series, but I'm kind of ho-hum on it. This one, I really enjoyed. It's going to get added to my pull list.
I'm still floating at about a 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right around there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Working on Steve Orlando coming on the show to do a creator spotlight with us. Just our schedules kind of suck right now, but working on it. He's game for it. So,
yeah.
Which is, I think the Ronnie Barnes one broke me of all my fear of that.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Vigilante, you got another book you want to bring to the table?
Ooh, let's see.
It doesn't have to be this week. It can be
just something you're reading.
Yeah, it's because I'm getting my comics delivered once a month. Yeah, it's I order my comics from another country, and I don't pay shipping if they deliver once a month, so it's cheap. I'm very much looking forward to read issue 2 of Mars Attacks Red Sonja.
Ooh.
It's a crossover nobody asked for, but
yeah.
I was very much hyped for.
Kind of like Transformers My Little Pony.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so shut up. I love Transformers My Little Pony.
But it's a crossover nobody asked for, no one even thought about.
It was the crossover that my heart was secretly asking for, even though I have zero interest in either franchise. I know nothing about My Little Pony, and I know nothing about Transformers, but Transformers My Little Pony does everything for me. So
I'm an old school brony. I grew up Ponyville before everything became in Questia, but I absolutely love the relaunch of My Little Pony because actually you have horror in it and so much philosophy. Basically, Equestria is the perfect country. It's the fulfillment of Plato's idea of the state. You have a leader caste, then you have a soldier caste that keeps the order, and every pony is basically working a job that is based on their talents. So this is Platon's dream. And My Little Pony is absolutely fantastic. Lauren Faust is a very underrated writer, and right now we're getting crazy good crossovers. Like you said, My Little Pony Transformers, it's just it feels wholesome and very much entertaining. Then Master Red Sonja is funny. I would say it's more into Mars Attacks than Red Sonja because I didn't like the writing for the Hyborian Age so much in issue number 1, but it was very much funny on the Mars Attacks part. And then currently also the Transformers Terminator just finished with the 4th issue. Fantastic crossover. Which is very true to the.
Those are two that fit together, though. You can see that.
Well. Yes, and the crossover is fantastic. So it's really a fantastic time for crossovers. Red Sonja Age of Chaos was also a crossover that came out a few weeks ago. The last issue. It's a great time if you're a fan for franchises.
Jennifer.
My next one.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, wait, didn't I just go? But Commanders in Crisis was yours. Okay, so the next one, let me go ahead and talk about this one. The Vein by it's published by Oni. I I'm really digging the artwork because it's Emily Pearson, and they did The Wilds with Vita Ayala. I always forget that. Forget their name. But anyways, it's like lesbian vampire Bonnie and Clyde, and instead of robbing banks, they're robbing blood banks. So it's not. I know that makes it sound really wacky and weird. It is still a little bit weird, but it's not wacky in the sense that it's like talking down at you or anything like that. So I'm enjoying it, and I really enjoy Emily Pearson's artwork. So I can't wait to add this one to my pull list. The Vein.
Makes me want to rewatch Jesus Franco's Vampiros Lesbos.
What was that?
Jesus Franco, the Spanish movie maker, and he did a wonderful movie called Vampiros Lesbos.
Yeah, I think you told me about that one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to go ahead and let everyone know that you'd recommend the coolest sounding stuff to me all the time, but I'm so remiss, is that the word? Because it ends up being a little bit more on the obscure side, and I feel like I can never find it. Or if it's like there was some artwork that you recommended a couple months ago, this artist, and I'm like, ooh, I really want it, but each book was like $200, and I'm like,
yeah.
So you recommend the coolest stuff to me all the time, but it's so hard to find.
There's some cool US labels like Severin and Mondo Macabro. They release many Italian movies in the US, and remastered in 2K and 4K sometimes, and sometimes I even have to order like some Blu-rays that are region free from the US.
Arrow usually has some of the good import stuff.
Arrow is I really like Arrow because they also released those in the UK, and so it's way cheaper for me to buy them in the UK.
Yeah, because I have to always buy Arrow US. I have to make sure I order from there because of the region, unless it's 4K, because that's region free.
Yeah.
A little bit of information for all you physical media aficionados.
I was going to say, if you recommend anything to me, unless it's like comics or books, it almost always has to be digital. Like if it's a movie or a show, it has to be like digital, because I don't think I'd have enough space if I was into like physical books and then physical DVDs. So one or the other, I've got to choose. But anyways, with this one, I'm probably going to recommend this one like 8 out of 5 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. The Vein, Oni Press.
From Vault Comics, Devil's Red Bride issue #1.
Yep.
So after playing Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm an old school manga fan, like this hit everything that I could want. I love Kurosawa films.
Mm-hmm.
So like this, just everything in my wheelhouse was in this book.
Yeah.
The art is nice. It's not crisp. It plays a lot with shadows and darker colors, and the story I really enjoyed.
Yep.
I'm actually going to be on the high end on this, about an 8.
I feel like this Devil's Red Bride was like Mulan, but and I hate myself for forgetting the director's name because I really enjoy his work, but if Old Boy, I can't remember.
That's not Takashi Miike. It's
no, but he did like Revenge for shit. Like Old Boy is seriously one of my favorite movies, and I hate that I forget the director's name. But if Mulan was directed by the same guy who did Old Boy, like that's what Devil's Red Bride feels like to me, and I loved this one.
I love that you're speaking in cinema right now.
I know, because I normally don't. Normally it's like...
Ooh, Chan-wook Park.
Thank you. So if Mulan was directed by Chan-wook Park, thoroughly, like I could see, and you're right, with like a little bit of that like Kurosawa influence, totally see it. So yeah, I really enjoyed Devil's Red Bride as well. Just had to sneak in there and say that. Mulan meets Old Boy.
Your next one.
So what? Another book I have to read, but I'm also very much looking forward to, since heavy metal is finally bringing out more comics again, is Sun Eater. And this should be like Vikings on drugs, what I heard.
Hmm.
It's also nice. It has a card stock cover, and heavy metal seems to be back on a good track. I've read the 300 issue, and it was amazing. They're also gonna bring out a new Tana comic, I think in December, and I'm so up for this because I'm a big heavy metal fan. And in the last years, the sort of lost a little bit their edge, because what I love about heavy metal in the past was, of course, that it brought a lot of our European artists on a bigger stage. Yeah, like Möbius, like Milos Manara, and I think even have here, because back in the days, it was, of course, it started in France with Metal Berlin, and then you have the heavy metal from the US, and in German we had Schwermetall. You know, there's a beautiful Frazetta cover. And basically, the US magazine is the last one standing. And I'm very happy that they seem now to have a great mix of fantastic and, most of all, really mature art. Because I think this is what this magazine should be about.
I read this a while back. Like, I didn't love it. Like, I don't know. Like, the story was kind of disjointed for me. I like the concept, but I just thought it was a little bit clumsily written.
Yeah, I will read Monday. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think the person who wrote it is an actor. Man, what did they act in?
Dylan Sprouse, I think, the brother of Cole Sprouse from Riverdale.
Dylan Sprouse, Joe
Yeah.
Harris, and Diego Chapur.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, maybe.
And I think that's why I didn't because I read it and I was really excited, because like for the same reasons, for like it's heavy metals, like new comic book imprint, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be like a really good first issue, and I didn't love it. So I'm curious to see what other titles they're going to come out with, but
The Savage Circus looks very promising. I've read the first issue, it was in the 300.
okay.
So there's some stuff coming up, and I'm looking forward to it.
Jen?
Oh, me again. Was it? Oh, I was like, I just talked about Devil's Red Bride, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that one was yours. So we talked about. Let me go and see here. Stargazer #2 came out. I really liked the first one, published by Mad Cave Studios last month, and it's basically the story is that these kids go on a camping trip. They accidentally, or one of the kids accidentally ingests some of one of the other characters, their brother, LSD, and ends up going on this like crazy trip, and they're like all of like 10 years old, I guess, 10, 11 years old. Flash forward to the future, this person who accidentally, as a kid, went on this wild LSD trip, ends up believing in conspiracy theories and alien abductions. And as an adult, you know, you can tell it's kind of fucked up. So this just continues the story a little bit. So you get a little bit of the flashback to the original moment. You get a little bit of a flash forward into what's going on. I've really been enjoying this one a lot. Stargazer by Mad Cave Studios.
Still haven't read it yet.
It's pretty good. I enjoy it. I could definitely see this being a limited series. I hope it's a limited series, because I feel like if it goes too much on and on, I think that I'd probably drop it. But if this ends up being like six issues, 100%, I'm all about it.
I always prefer a good limited series, especially with a new concept, than something that drags on and on and on.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate a good ending at this point.
Especially when it's not an ending, where it doesn't feel like a mercy killing. Like, I'm just going to put this series out of its misery. Like, I'd rather see it die a hero than become a villain.
I'm having this problem with my LCS. Like, he's just so picky about what he orders, and if it's indie, and if he has to really dive into previews to look for it, he just doesn't. Also, didn't order a Dracula motherfucker. Like,
I want to go ahead and just take this moment really quick to shout out my LCS Books with Pictures, who is been described as aggressively diverse, and pretty much I feel like, not that I have a hard time getting like the mainstream titles, but they are very on point with the anything a little bit more like indie titles, and they actually got this, and I'm going to brag a little bit, they actually got this exclusive Dracula motherfucker title, and they're actually mentioned in the back.
Huh.
So they
I
got
saw they were having a giant sidewalk sale this week.
Yeah. It's on the other side of town, and I typically take a lift to and from. So I'm like, okay, I already went there this week. I wasn't feeling great yesterday, so I'm like, I'm not gonna, if I'm like contagious with anything, it was just side effects from the flu shot, which everyone should be getting your flu shot.
I get sick every time I get it.
Yeah, so I got like some sniffles, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be out too much this week. So anyways, I really do just want to go ahead and shout out my LCS Books with Pictures here in Portland, Oregon, who is absolutely amazing. And not only do they get like the really interesting titles from, like, they get Image, pretty much everything Image, but they get what's been coming out with Mad Cave and Vault and Oni and Scout. Like, they're just incredible. And then they got, not only did they get the special title for Dracula motherfucker, but the shop as well as the owner are mentioned in it because they're that cool. Sorry, just had to brag.
I ordered it in a local bookstore because everything that has an ISBN number, I can order like locally with a bookstore.
Yeah.
And my US comics, I get everything I want because I pre-ordered 2 months ago, because I have to pre-order it 2 months ago. So I'm going through the previews and already like then researching, okay, is this something that is interesting? Should I get, and then I already decided if a number 1 a chance or not. And so basically I'm very much decided like 2 months before something is released.
Yeah.
I'm glad actually that, you know, we have someone to talk about how you have to order overseas, and like we take for granted like what we have over here with, you know, it's kind of readily available, because I'm not gonna say US comics is kind of, it's more of a United States thing, but like the import time for a while, because I know like Marvel Britain used to be like way behind on the current issues. Like they would just be reprints basically.
Yeah, totally. It's also here like I don't buy the translated issues because I'm not a fan of the translations, because they try to translate everything in this horrible German youth speak, and I don't like that, and so everything sounds just bullshit for everybody who likes real German. This sounds bullshit. So I really prefer the American originals, and luckily there are comic book stores. Of course, you have to pre-order it like 2 months if you really want to get it. If a Diamond doesn't deliver too few issues, but I get the books for cover price, and my comic book store is so fair with its pricing. It's, you know, when something is hyped, it doesn't pull the price up. No, it's if it's a regular cover, you get it for cover price, and he has certain prices he puts in for incentive variants. So incentive variants is the only thing. Like every Thursday when he puts the comics online, if I want an incentive variant, like in the moment he looks online, I put it online. I look immediately and buy it if it's available, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems pretty fair. So then people who go in like on, I guess, Wednesdays can get it on Wednesday, and then so it seems like you're preferring like in-store shopping over online shopping there, but still have both.
But I think he also he gets the comics. I think Wednesday is very late. Sometimes it's a little bit late.
Okay.
Customs, you never know, because the European market on the continent is not linked to Diamond UK. Diamond UK is a whole other thing, and we're getting the comics from there for Diamond US.
Okay.
So on my next one, a book I was very disappointed with DC's The Doomed and the Damned.
Right? Okay.
It was bad. I'm a horror fan, and like, it just was not good. Like, I wanted more. The Swamp Thing special now, like, I look more fondly at, because at least that kind of did it right. This just did not do anything right.
You know, I'll be honest. I think the only reason, I mean, I probably would have picked this up if I hadn't read the Swamp Thing, but in my opinion, the Swamp Thing that came out last week was like 10 times better than this.
Very much so.
And for this, because this was still $10, it's still like kind of worth it, because you get 10 different tales in here. So then, you know, that's $1 a tale. There was one that I actually really enjoyed, and it was this Wonder Woman Raven story.
Oh, yes.
Inner Demons by Amanda Dibert. I enjoyed that one a lot, but out of all of them, that was probably the only one that I enjoyed out of this. I enjoyed almost all of the ones from the Swamp Thing one, but Damned in the Doom wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't. I was like at a 4 on it. I really just... And then Death Metal came out, and that was a mishmash of just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
I feel like that's me every week reading Death Metal at this point. Is I'm just like, what's going on? Okay, I guess I'll just read it.
Vigilante, your last one when you're ready.
Yeah, first, I thought about picking up the DC horror book, but then I checked how many writers I dislike are on there. And sadly, in the past I spent like €200 a month almost. I think it's like $230 or something.
Yeah.
Comics. But the moment that Snyder got too much power, and I think Snyder is not a bad writer, he can be a good writer, but he needs a strong editor for his crazy ideas. And with DC Metal and Drowned Earth, DC totally lost me. Like, I dropped more and more titles, and currently I'm not reading a single DC book.
And then they've got this Endless Winter coming out that I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I'm excited for Future State. Like, I just saw that it's like Future State, it's going to be all of these new titles, and I'm really excited for all of that. I will probably be putting every single one of Future State, like, on my pull list.
I just don't trust DC not to fuck it up.
That, you know, you're right, but I trusted Mercy, and I got heartbroken by Mercy, so, you know.
Is that going to be one of your next videos? Comics will break your heart. The Cat Salazar edition.
I really try to not shit on as many comics as I do, because I think that there definitely is someone out there who really enjoys Mercy, and I still want people to pick up comic books. And just because it wasn't for me, maybe I'm too simple-minded, but I had no clue what the fuck was going on with Mercy. Any issue I read, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Vigilante, did you read Kill Lock?
No.
You might like it. It is evil robots.
Yeah. The problem is
it was good.
My pull list is so big, so I always have to try to make space. Like, I just put like Sea of Sorrow and Miskatonic on it, because those seem to be very promising. And but my final pick for today is issue number 2 of Vampire the Masquerade. I think issue number 3 came out last week in the US. I have to wait until next month to get it.
I won't spoil it. I almost talked about it, but I won't spoil it.
Okay. I think the first story is very good. I love Seeley's writing. He did a great job on He-Man and Masters of the Multiverse, and he really gets Vampire the Masquerade. I played the role-playing game for 20 years. I'm like a Tremere from Vienna. And he really gets the mix right of giving exposure to somebody who doesn't know the world of Vampire the Masquerade, but also crafting a compelling story. I'm not a fan of the sub-story because I think Tini Howard can't write a compelling story for saving her life.
Wow.
Ooh, hot take of the week.
I gave her so many chances and she fucked up every character that I like.
No.
I also think sometimes you can craft a decent story. Like the beginning of Strike Force was not so bad, but I think Marvel is giving it too many titles, and every title of her either is a miniseries or it gets cancelled. So she's clearly not crafting a story that is out there that is really in demand. I'm a big Death's Head fan. I love the Marvel UK run of Death's Head.
Simon Furman.
And I love Furman. He's transformed.
Liam Sharp was on that when it first came back at Death's Head too. Oh, so good.
Liam Sharp, one of my favorite artists, and Tini Howard make Death's Head a side character in his own book. Then she clearly didn't get Belliv in the Age of Conan run. This was like a young adult fantasy romance, which can't be further away from Robert E. Howard's creation, even though they share the same surname.
I love the covers for Belliv. I'll go there. The Takeda covers are good.
Nice, yeah.
Yes.
So, Cancel Strike Force. It started a little bit promising, so I was giving her another chance because I believe that some writers are maybe better for some characters, but it just was dull in the end, and I think she clearly needs to find her writing style and then also get the characters. I mean, she clearly loves writing for hulking. And I think this is really her strength, because also with Death's Head, she pushed in so many of the characters she clearly loved.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the Death's Head title. That is my issue with it. If she really concentrates on the characters she likes, and Marvel gives her a chance in that way, and then also works on crafting like a true story arc with beginning, middle, and end, then she can improve. But Marvel is putting her on too many titles, and they don't do a favor with this.
I think Marvel's putting out too many titles to start with. Like,
that will change very soon, I think.
Yeah.
Says the person who's getting like all the 10 of Swords and like, just kidding.
But
it's
Hickman,
a lot of titles.
You have Hickman though with this overarching story that the writers are getting their marching orders to, though, that they have to follow. So you have at least that going on. Hickman's juggled this before when he did that giant Secret Wars crossover back then that burned him out on Marvel so much he ran away.
And then they're like, come back in with X-Men.
For my wallet, I'm very happy that I'm not an X-Men fan.
You know, I have, like, there is one title I'd like to see Marvel bring back, and I have a specific person I want to see doing it. I want to see Becky Cloonan doing Solomon Kane.
That would work very well, but I think Cullen Bunn would have written it if it would come out, but we probably won't see it. Also, Becky Cloonan's Dark Agnes is probably cancelled. I talked with Conan Properties Limited, and he said it's probably not coming out. Issue number one. Because I actually like. I'm there in the minority, but I really like Becky Cloonan's drawing on Dark Horse Conan with Bellet. I really love her version of Bellet. And
I just love her art. Like, I'll buy anything and everything. Like,
the art is really beautiful, and I really enjoyed the first 2 issues of Dark Agnes. So I was pumped that this title got cancelled, even though it was just a miniseries.
I showed these off in my stories a minute back. So Becky Cloonan, one of my favorite books is By Chance or Providence, and she came out with these oracle cards. So I bought these like really cool oracle cards, even though I don't know how to fucking use them. But then, sorry, I just have to like shout out Becky Cloonan because I fucking love her. And it came with this. I think it's really cool. Sorry, giving that Becky Cloonan love.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
And I really would like to see her, especially drawing another title within the Hipporian Age. It would. I just think it fits very well, and I wish that she would have maybe drawn one of the Ages of Conan title, and they would have gotten also like a writer that is more familiar with this time. Like the area title was not bad, but it felt more like Lord of the Rings, it felt more like high fantasy sort of sorcery. Even though the art was beautiful. I think it was by Anneke, or how it's pronounced. And
Anaki, maybe? I can't.
I think it's Aneka. I think
Anka?
I think in German we pronounce it Aneke.
Okay.
Yeah, but the art was beautiful, but it's it's like when you're really a fan of a world, then you of course expect that it's coherent. I don't have problems when things are changed, but I very much mind when the changes are not coherent within their own creation.
I'm kind of like that with the Alien universe, where there's some books they put out for Alien that I really like, and then there's some that just don't feel like they fit in that universe at all.
Really quick, I want to just go ahead because I've really been enjoying Vampire the Masquerade. I've gotten all the David Mack covers as well. But as someone who is like this familiar with the role-playing game, like I never actually played it, I've been loving this series. And Tim Seeley, like I like his work, and I do like Teenie Howard and the Howards. So I really enjoy it, and I would recommend it even if you have no clue what the fuck Vampire the Masquerade is. Even if you are just learning that it's a huge role-playing game just now, still very, very enjoyable.
And I totally recommend, if you like the world, to install the old Vampire Bloodlines video game and install the fan patch so it runs. It's one of the best role-playing games they ever put out, especially for Vampire the Masquerade. And it's clearly it's crazy, and the World of Darkness has basically no morality in it, and you have so many crazy things like with snuff films and crazy stuff within this video game. It's crazy.
Wow. Okay, let us move on to the next chapter of our episode, and we made the decision to do Re-Animator, and couldn't think of anybody more to have on with us who's a huge Lovecraft fan than Vigilante here. And I'm going to ask first, what's your favorite Lovecraft-inspired movie?
The Resurrected.
Well, I don't think I've seen that one.
Adaptation. My favorite inspired movie. I mean, if it goes by broadly inspired, it's Alien, because Dan O'Bannon took so much inspiration from the cosmic horror, like the hopelessness in space, etc. So Alien is very much a Lovecraftian movie. But if it goes more from the vibe of H.P. Lovecraft, like slowly getting into madness, I think the two best inspired movies by Lovecraft is Lucio Fulci's Beyond. I think in German Über dem Jenseits, and John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Do you read Sutter Kane?
Yes. Someone wore that shirt to when I saw Halloween 2018. I was in the theater and I saw the Do You Read Sutter Kane shirt. I was like, what? Like,
did we just become best friends?
Literally, I had to walk up to them. I was like, that shirt is awesome.
Yeah.
From Beyond, I think, is one of my favorites of the Lovecraft adaptations.
Like the Stuart Gordon one?
Yes.
The Stuart Gordon one, it's from the adaptation, it's good, but
the effects were insane.
It's a little bit too humorous, in my opinion. I think Stuart Gordon often puts a little bit too much humor, which works very well for Re-Animator, because H.P. Lovecraft basically made it as a parody of Frankenstein. He was very much reluctant to write this story. He only wrote it because he got $5 per chapter.
Yeah.
And it was a serial.
Yeah. What was it, 6 of them?
Yeah, 6, yeah. From the Dark, the Blake Demon, 6 Shots by Midnight, The Scream of the Dead, Horror from the Shadows, and The Tomb Legions.
So
I've written down here, I don't know.
I'm like, man, he's pulling that out of memory. But
this movie came out in 1985, and you read about Stuart Gordon. He originally wanted to do this as a theater show. Which
like live action, like
yes,
action, yeah.
Which thinking about it, I'm just insane.
Like, rest in peace to Stuart Gordon. He sadly passed away this year.
Yes. This movie is bananas. Like, I hadn't watched it since probably 1987, 1988, and I forgot some parts of it. David Gale playing Hill, he's so fucking arch. From the minute they put him on the screen, Jeffrey Combs is just playing weird and awkward.
He's playing
and
the
very
characters.
stoic, like very just like tunnel visioned.
Before you came on, like, I was talking to Vigilante, I was like, is Dan a villain by the end? Like, I can't tell, or if he's just fallen under the sway of West.
I would say that maybe more of the... I don't want to call him a villain, because I don't think that he's written that way. Maybe that was just like an undertone, but maybe.
Like Barbara Crampton in the In Search of Darkness documentary, she talked about this movie, and she's like, look, like, I needed to work. I didn't really like some of the parts in it.
It's Romano's favorite movie.
Yeah.
She said that in the auto commentary.
When I watched there's a documentary about Evil Dead, and one of the actresses in it, there's the part with the tree rape, and she was just like, I did not know this was going to be in it.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable doing it. It got an X rating. It got it banned in Europe. And like, this had some stuff in it. I started reading. I was like, okay, it did get an X rating, and then they had to edit it to get it down to an R.
Yeah.
Evil Dead was banned for I think now they re-released it. It's from the Index. It was banned in Germany for so many years, and since here in Austria we don't have movie laws, there was a special Evil Dead Austrian edition. So they had to import it from Austria to Germany if they wanted to watch it.
Oh,
So what were your thoughts on it, Jen?
it was really weird because when I watched it earlier this year, but it was more of like in the background, and so I wasn't like paying attention to it. So it was, and before that, I probably hadn't seen it in at least 15 years. So that it was pretty strange going back to it. When I just watched it this week, it was like I did really appreciate a lot of the parts with the practical effects. I think were really, really good, especially for the time. But when I do think that it was supposed to be like a theatrical production, I wish that it had gone full campiness. And if we had seen, I think if we had seen that like theatricalness in it more so, it would have been like Rocky Horror Picture Show Re-Animator. And now like that's all I want is just Rocky Horror Picture Show Re-Animator.
So $900,000 was the budget on it.
Yeah, just under. Yep.
Yeah, which seems like a lot when you look at like the movie itself. Like, it's just like, where did it go? Unless it was just to pay like Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah. Was it before or after Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon worked on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I think, was 87, 88. Like, just, you watch the movie and, like, there is campiness. There is, like you said, Stuart Gordon injecting his humor into it. Like, the head giving head. Like, it's just, it's so just bizarre. Like, the whole part with the head and then the body, like, and then, of course, Jeffrey Combs, when he gets the bone saw out. There's just so much ridiculousness. Like, it's so over the top. And I'm probably going to end up watching Bride of Re-Animator by the time Halloween rolls around now, since it's all on Tubi.
It's very fast-paced, and the Bride of the Re-Animator basically is inspired by the last two chapters of Lovecraft's story. And they have chosen like a war in Peru instead of the First World War.
Okay.
The First World War is out of budget.
It's weird because, like, these Lovecraft adaptations, like, they're always so loose, and you kind of, like, almost want, like, a true...
But
like an adaptation. Like I'd love one for In the Mountains of Madness.
Yeah.
Like a really good one.
The problem with like true adaptations, I think that's also what last year I rewatched so many Lovecraft movies because I made an uncut special on Lovecraft and the best inspired films and the best adapted films, and why usually the inspired movies are better than the direct adaptations. And I think the big problem with the adaptations is, first of all, the stories are not very long. So if you adapt them for a feature-length movie, you have to invent new stuff. Like the character of Barbara Crampton, Megan Helsley, was not in the stories, but her father was. The dean was in the story, and I think that actually Stuart Gordon did it very well because a lot of the people that adapt Lovecraft make the mistake and tell the story from the I absolutely disliked Color from Space, the new one.
Oh,
Yeah, I enjoyed that, but
it's Nick Cage though. I think that's
Yeah.
why I liked it because he's just so.
I mean, Cage was fun. It was like alpacas, the alpacas. But my problem with the movie is that the horror from Lovecraft is not about us seeing the family going crazy over time, but rather having a very Lovecraft has always a very deductive approach. Like we're getting the madness through a character, through a narrator in his stories. And in this movie, the character of Dan is basically the narrator in the story through which eyes we see Dr. Herbert West is Dan Kane in this movie. So I think they did this very well because I think it's much better when we see the slow like how the story goes into madness through the lens of a narrator. This is very true. It's true to Lovecraft, and this was my big problem with Color Out of Space. That in the story we just hear like the narrator like interviewing them, and I would have watched the movie rather through the eyes of the what's in English the guy in the beginning in German is like the Landvermesser, who did the scaling for the land. And I think that part of this character was way too little in the movie. This should have been the main protagonist. And by us showing us all this madness from this family, like straight away, this took away a lot of the Lovecraftiness and the horror. And Stuart Gordon didn't do this mistake in Re-Animator, and therefore Re-Animator is one of the few Lovecraft adaptations that are actually, despite being a loose adaptation, because the story is, of course, set in modern times in the 80s.
Yeah.
supposed to.
But it's still very true to the source and through the storytelling. And even because even the humor worked very well because, like I said, H.P. Lovecraft sort of made this story parody of Frankenstein, and it was also the first time that we have the Miskatonic University.
Yes.
First appearance.
First appearance, and it was actually one of the first real zombie stories because unlike with Frankenstein and Modern Prometheus, where they put together the undead with parts of different bodies, here was about reanimated corpses. And of course, in Bride of the Re-Animator, it went in the sequel. It goes back to Frankenstein when he basically then created his ideal wife.
Weirdly, like the other week, Jen and I were discussing a movie. It was The Crow, and she kind of thought it was ripe for a remake. I had that weird feeling about Re-Animator.
There is one.
Like, is there?
It's an Italian movie from 2017.
Oh.
I haven't seen it myself because I can't find it on DVD. But apparently, when you read the reviews online, it's even closer to the source, and it's very much beloved.
Oh.
I really have to
check that one out.
Because I was watching it going, I could see like a remake of this, like really easy, and then Just because a little bit of it's outdated, and with effects now, if they wanted to do it, although it would probably be CGI and really piss me off.
Yeah,
I
like
think
overly
the
CGI. Yeah.
effects hold up pretty well.
Hmm.
Definitely with David Gale as Hill, I thought the headless parts were really good.
Hmm. Like I could see how they did it, and I feel like it didn't take me out of it, because sometimes you can see how they did it and you're like, okay, I get it, that doesn't look really good, but in this way you can see how it's done, but it's interesting.
Exactly. This is why practical effect is so important. I'm not an enemy of CGI, but I really dislike when they only use CGI, because when you have like only digital effects, your eye has nothing to anchor on the screen, therefore it looks
Yeah.
fake. When you have practical effects mixed with CGI, your eyes have an anchor point in reality, and therefore it gets fooled and
You believe in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, the Thing prequel, like there were practical effects, and then they got rid of them to do all. And I hated it. Like it just, and then if you watch it in 4K, like it pops. All the CGI pops. It takes away. It draws you out of the movie. I had that same thing with Kong Skull Island.
That is why I only recommend 4K discs for movies that were shot on film. Because from film you don't have pixelation, and you can enlarge until until our technical knowledge, and therefore all the movies look in 4K perfect. But when, for example, when you watch the recent Marvel movies, they're from the MCU in 4K. Actually, the regular Blu-ray has a better picture.
I'm waiting for the Blade Runner 4K scan. I know it's coming at some point. I just got the Friday the 13th 4K scan for the original. It actually looks really fucking good. Like, it's surprisingly good. Also, you can see the hair on the knuckles of Betsy Palmer as the hands are up after she gets beheaded, because it's not her hands, it's Tom Savini's friend.
And the only thing what I sometimes dislike with remastered versions is when to make something clearer, that when they totally delete the graininess, because I love graininess, and when they mess with the filters. There's a lot of Italian movies that are better still on DVD than in the Blu-ray re-release, because it's too light. It's like the horror comes so that you don't see everything, and suddenly you can see like everything. I think this was a big problem with this House on the Friedhofsmauer by Fulci, which in English, The House by the Cemetery. That in the basement, it's way too light down there. So they basically took out the filter, which was in the original, where it clearly had no idea what was coming.
I feel like I see something similar whenever a movie is shot in the daytime and they put that like nighttime blue filter over to make it look like it's, because obviously it's really hard to film at nighttime because there's not a lot of light, and so they'll film in the daytime. Yeah, and they'll like film in the daytime and then just put a blue filter, and I'm like, you're not fooling anyone there. I mean, maybe someone's fooled, but I'm not. That takes me out of it.
Also, for anybody who bought the Friday the 13th box set, 3 discs are defective. So there is a disc replacement program going on through Shout Factory for it. The 3D is botched on part 3. There's audio issues in Jason X, and then Jason Goes to Hell. They forgot a scene. So they have a disc replacement program. So all you need is your proof of purchase and what you bought, and they're sending them out next month.
Jason X is my favorite Friday movie.
It's so bad, it's good.
I love it.
Like it's just so nuts. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it, even though it's a bad movie by all intents. So since we're in spooky season, what is a horror movie that some people haven't watched that you'd recommend, even if it's just stupid funny?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Italian horror movies, and mostly because these movies don't have any fun in it. They're just pure terror. Currently I'm writing a special for Uncut this year about the Three Martyrs trilogy of from Dario Argento, Suspiria, Inferno, and The Mother of Tears, which of course totally recommend for me. I even like the third one. Most people don't like the third one, but I really
It's not
like
bad.
it. Yeah. But actually, if you want to have some campy fun and like horror, and since we're already talking Jeffrey Combs, have you ever watched Dr. Mordred?
No.
No.
This is actually they had the rights to Doctor Strange and lost the rights and then just renamed the movie. So this is actually a beautiful Doctor Strange movie with Jeffrey Combs as Dr. Mordred, who should have been Doctor Strange.
That's
And
fascinating.
it's like a horror based. It's like a horror movie or more.
It's very horror based. To see if there's any. Like it really plays a lot with the crazy horror.
Okay.
So I still recommend. It's a very short movie, but it's fantastic. And since we're already talking Brian Usner, the third Re-Animator movie, Beyond Re-Animator, he shot in Spain under the banner of Fantastic Films. It was Fantastic Factory, and he also did a very nice comic book adaptation in Spain. Where also Jeffrey Combs has a part in it, which is the adaptation of Faust, Laugh of the Damned.
Oh God. Oh,
Yeah.
that Faust movie. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oof.
I really like it.
It was so campy. Like it was just over the top. Like Jen, any ones you'd recommend?
Not really. I feel like I should be watching more movies, but I feel like I'm reading more books than anything. I feel like I have not watched Midsummer, and I feel like everyone has been telling me to watch Midsummer, and that's probably going to be the next movie that I watch.
You've been listening to Sydney, yeah?
No, like I'm serious. Not just Sydney, but like 20 other people have like been like, "Why haven't you watched Midsummer?"
Have you seen Wicker Man?
It's been a while.
It's basically Wicker Man with younger people and not Nick Cage. Not the beast! Not the beast!
Yeah. I want to watch it. I love
bring back the goddamn honey.
Punching Kathy Bates in the bear suit.
Watch the original with Christopher Lee, which is
I loved Hereditary, so I feel like I'm gonna really love Midsummer.
There's a part where they eat pubes, and it really bothered me. It was in the soup.
Thank you for spoiling it.
Oh no, that doesn't spoil it. There's way weirder shit that happens.
Have you ever watched Cellar Dweller?
Cellar Dweller? No.
No.
I totally recommend this one. I think it's also very cheap from a Shout Factory release, and it's a love letter to easy horror movies. It's about a girl who always wanted to draw horror movies, and she's a big fan of a horror that one is played also by Jeffrey Combs, and then the revives the horror title and she comes on it, and it's a little bit about that how creations become reality.
Cellar Dweller.
Cellar Dweller.
Okay, I'm like mentally typing that down in my brain.
I have a triple shot. Two of them by the director Fred Decker and writer. The first one is Night of the Creeps. If you want alien slugs, you want kind of a zombie movie. It's a little bit of 80s rom-com with it too. And fucking Tom Atkins is in this movie playing a drunk detective.
Yes.
He is awesome. The movie's awesome. Like, it is campy. It's enjoyable. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, I love it. Also by Fred Decker and co-written by Shane Black. Monster Squad. Always love that. If you want your Universal monsters, you want a little bit of Goonies. It's got a little bit of everything in it. It's on Amazon Prime Instant right now. and also enjoyable, Fright Night. Like the original, not the Colin Farrell one, but the original, Roddy McDowall's in it, like just so damn good. Also on Amazon Prime Instant right now. This man knows. Tom Atkins. Halloween 3. Yes, it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but fuck that. It's got Tom Atkins fucking a 20-year-old.
Halloween 3 is actually the only Halloween movie that I like.
Really? Not even the 78?
I think the first movie is boring. It's, when you grew up
Fuck
with
off my show.
Piano, and when you watch Sergio Martino's Torso and Bale by Mario Bava, it's just a very tame inspiration from Italian giallo movie and of Peeping Tom.
A little. He actually did a movie. It's a voyeuristic movie with a guy stalking a woman in an apartment complex. Someone is watching, and it has a bunch of people from the Halloween movie, the original Halloween, in it. Charles Cyphers is in it. Next week we're doing The Thing. I'm hoping John's Comics with Kids will work out his schedule. I know he's got the Comic-Con going on, but John Carpenter's The Original Thing, not prequel thing. We're going to be discussing that.
He has no idea about movies. He made a top 5 action list and he didn't have Commando on it. So everything that John said about movies is invalid.
Shots fired. So I will say there is an action movie. I think that it gets laughed out, but I'm totally entertained. Last Action Hero, I don't think is as bad as people made it out to be.
Last Action Hero is a masterpiece. When it came out, people didn't expect that basically the biggest action star, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the biggest action director of the time would do actually a spoof about action movies. And it's so clear in the movie because everything that happens on film is so bright, and when they enter the real world, it's actually pretty dark. And then it's like, and then you have you have a very good contrast between the movie world and the real world. So it should have been totally visible that it is a parody, and it is a fantastic parody. It is also a love letter to movies when they bring the death from the Seventh Seal into the real world. I love it.
The another movie I feel doesn't get the love it needs, Demolition Man.
I love Demolition.
I love it. It is so entertaining, and I find myself referencing the Three Seashells a lot.
I feel like the Demolition Man, like at the beginning of quarantine, definitely got its a little bit of recognition.
Yeah.
What was it with Wesley Snipes? Jeffrey Dahmer. I love that guy.
I reviewed that movie at the beginning of the lockdown. Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. And you also have with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes with their characters, with Spartan and Phoenix, they actually have a really fantastic Batman and Joker relationship going on, which you can also be a little bit homage because when you are in the room of Huxley, you see a Batman and Joker action figure in the background. So the character is pretty much based on Batman and Joker.
So I have a crazy theory about Demolition Man. Is Huxley Spartan's daughter that he fucks? Did he old boy this shit?
I don't think so.
Because there's parts of it where I'm like, that might be his daughter. Holy shit. Because he talks about how he was frozen, and then she kind of makes a comment about, like, she didn't know her dad. I'm like, oh my god, they old boyed it before Old Boy.
I don't think so. Who knows? They're gonna plan a sequel to the movie, so. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I love action movies, like, and then there's the ridiculous movie Crank 2. Like, they're two of my favorite ones because they're so freaking ridiculous. And Jason Statham is so unfunny that he's funny. and then knowing that it was originally written for Nicolas Cage, and he was too expensive.
Nicolas Cage will like do anything.
Right, they didn't have enough money for him. So Jason Statham was like cheap, and they're like, okay, and he like literally was going, guys, I'm not funny, and they're like, no, you're fine, you're funny.
A big investment tip for every American rich person: don't buy a castle in Germany. We have many of them expensive, and they're very expensive to uphold.
And then Superman Action Comics #1, he had to buy that too.
It's a better investment than a fucking castle. There's a reason that in Europe every state is very keen to sell castles.
Ooh, also, recommendation, since we've been talking about John Carpenter, Shout Factory, the Scream Factory has the newer edition of The Thing that they put out, and then they have one for Big Trouble in Little China, which had new commentary and some new extras. And it also had a nice print and a vinyl album that if you get the big set.
Yeah, especially with John Carpenter, the commentaries are so well. It's always a little bit sad nowadays because I also rewatched last week the audio commentary from The Live with Rowdy Piper and John Carpenter. So it's always very eerie when a dead person is talking to you.
The Big Trouble in Little China commentary, where I'm pretty sure Kurt Russell and John Carpenter were either high or drunk when they're making fun of each other's careers.
Yes, and this audio commentary really showed how intelligent both are, and especially Kurt Russell, very intelligent and very much a person who really has a knowledge of film. And
also, I'd like to talk about the fact that John Carpenter's The Thing bombed in theaters.
Yeah.
E.T. killed it in Blade Runner. They all came out within a week of each other, and E.T. just killed them. The Thing, at the movies, we're recommending people not see the movie because it was so hyper-violent. And it's incredible how, like, you look back on it now, and, you know, two of them are cult classics where E.T. I really don't think gets talked about.
We actually talked about this also yesterday because a lot of Carpenter movies flop back in this. And nowadays perspective, you often think it's like, this is such a good movie. How can it flop back in the day? But then you look at the release schedule of movies that came out in the 80s. And there were, I think, every year at least like over 30 films I would have loved to see in cinema. And nowadays, even before the lockdown, I struggled to find 2 movies a year I want to watch in cinema. So it was a time with a very creative output, and my message, as always, is bring cocaine back to Hollywood.
Well,
Bring the drugs back in.
Think about those 3 weeks in 1982 where Blade Runner came out, E.T., and then The Thing. Like, that's 3 weeks apart. How crazy.
Think about this nowadays, what there would be like a hype with social media if movies like this came out. And then nowadays it's, we moved Wonder Woman to December, therefore we have to move Dune from December because people can't deal with 2 movies at the same time.
Speaking of Dune, next week, Dune House Atreides #1 comes out from Boom. Yep. Jen and I will definitely be talking about it because all we talk about is Dune.
I think I spent $50 on issue #1. I got the trade dress and the Virgin from an exclusive from the Mother Superior. Then I got cover A. I got the die cut cover and the blank variant.
I got the
for the blank variant. Like this I will give to my girlfriend, and I told her she should just put Sting in briefs on it.
Yes. I got the my LCS was kind enough to get the 1 in 100 variant for Paul Pope for me, and I'm like, okay, if I need to buy like every fucking copy you have, I guess that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I'll probably end up with like 20 copies of the first issue A cover just so I can get the Paul Pope.
Well, I see a giveaway coming.
Yeah.
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
We do a Dune show every week now with Cinia Reads and my friend Sid.
It's always at 5
So
p.m.
yeah, it's been fun kind of rereading it, and we have a first-time reader with us, and she's picking out stuff and hitting trends that we never even think about. So it's been entertaining reading it, and we thought we were going to be in a race to the movie, and now we might end up reading the other 2 books at this pace we're going.
I honestly think we're at this point, we're probably going to be able to get God Emperor in before we see a fucking Dune movie.
Sid will quit by that time we get to
Probably.
God Emperor. She hates that book.
Maybe you should keep some of the issue number 1, because when the movie comes out finally someday and people are really interested in it, and then it's like, oh, there's actually like a prequel and a comic book to it.
It's got to be killing Denis Villeneuve to have this movie done and then just like sit there like.
Yeah, but they did do, like, several months ago, they went and did reshoots, so this may just be a way for them to go back and to just, I don't know if they're going to do any reshoots, but to just go in and edit. Fuck, maybe they're even like going to go ahead and just film the second movie if they haven't already done so.
My big fear is when they go back and film something, they may just film an ending because they have no intent to do a sequel in the current state of the film industry.
It's scary. It's real scary. So getting close to the wrap-up point, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you coming on, talking with us. You've been a long-time watcher and supporter, and I appreciate that. And I really need to catch up on yours and Stay Puft's show because I've been just reading lately, and not for fun.
What?
But definitely, I'd love to have the 2 of you on and talk movies, like, because I talk cinema. I love cinema, so like I can talk
about it. And the fun thing is also with Carpenters, like Sean and I really love some of the same movies, and then with other movies like For the Thing and Escape from New York were not on my top 5 list, but for him very much on the top. So it's very interesting that we share the same we share the same love for certain movies, but have different rankings on it.
Mm-hmm.
The Fog is one I see all over people's rankings because some people think it's great, other people not so good. Like, it's somewhere in the middle for me. I don't think it's a great movie, but I don't think it's as bad as people make it out.
It was on my number 6. I really love The Fog because I'm a big sucker for campfire horror stories. And this movie has such a great atmosphere, and what really sets the mood for me is it's when Adrian Barbeau basically sort of narrates the movie through the radio.
Yes. I loved Ghost. I liked Ghost of Mars probably more than most.
We actually when we talked about it yesterday, we really liked it. For me, my issue with Ghost of Mars was it was totally miscast.
Oh, 100%.
Well, yeah, totally miscast because Carpenter's idea was to make a really tongue-in-cheek action movie that takes itself serious, like Commando, Predator, and he cast the wrong actors for it.
Oh, speaking of casting, I just remembered this. Furiosa, the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Anna Taylor-Joy is going to be playing young Furiosa.
I'm so here for that.
I dig the casting. I really do.
She's a fantastic actress. I absolutely love her in The Witch.
So do you like The Witch, or are you kind of in between? Because
I really like The Witch because it doesn't take the viewer by the hand, and really has old school witchcraft in it. Mm-hmm. And they didn't shy back to kill babies, etc. Because of course witches need those to fly. And I really love that they don't explain what they use for it, but they rather show it. And we have way too few movies that go with an aesthetic and don't think that the audience is stupid.
Because I know people hated the slow pacing And it's weird that that movie, the pacing doesn't bother me, but Jen and I watched a movie a couple weeks ago.
The Black Coat's
Daughter. And the pacing was so interminably slow that by the time it got to where it was going, I was just tuned out.
Yeah, that's pacing is something very important with movies. And fun thing, yesterday I said one of the hey, poor Mike, one of my quarrel with some of Carpenter's movie is sometimes he doesn't get the pacing right.
See, like Halloween, I know some people complain about it, but like I think on that one, the pacing works for me because it's supposed to build up the suspense and how, like, as the movie goes on, he's getting closer and closer to them. So, like, for me, it works, but I understand how some people would not like it.
Like, it's very much nitpicking. It's like, find a weakness in Carpenter movies. So it's like, oh, it could have been better paced.
You could say that almost about everyone, but then there's like Friday the 13th where they say, fuck character, just keep it moving.
Which also has its place. It's the most important thing with watching movies is in which mindset you are when you watch a movie. You know, there's especially with a mood piece, you have to be in the right mindset to really enjoy it. I wouldn't recommend The Witcher when I say it's like get a beer, sit down on a Friday for midnight entertainment. No, The Witcher is a movie you have to watch with a fresh mind, and you really have to let the atmosphere work. You really have to. This is a movie you have to let it breathe. It's like a good cheese. You have to put it like 30 minutes out earlier. It needs to breathe in order to fully enjoy it.
So
perfect example of that is The Lighthouse.
I was just about to go there because Sid.
I just started, or I watched it at the beginning of the pandemic, and started watching the movie completely high, couldn't do it, fell asleep, and then rewatched it sober-ish, and it was much better, not like out of my mind high.
I still have to watch it because I was not in the right mood yet to watch it, but it's on my list.
So our friend, she listened to us talk about it. So on her flight from Thailand to the US, she watched it and she's pissed at us.
Yeah, maybe that just wasn't the movie to watch while on an airplane. I don't know, but it was still a good movie in my opinion.
It's an interesting movie. It's got a lot of like Lovecraftian themes to it during it. So you'll probably dig it, but the pacing, I can see why some people are just like, fuck this movie. But speaking of Willem Dafoe, I do have a recommendation. If you have not seen In the Shadow of the Vampire with Cary Elwes, where they're recreating Nosferatu, the filming of it, fucking great movie. Like, Willem Dafoe is so great as Count Orlok.
Yeah, there was done by Werner Herzog. Werner Herzog did the one with Kinski, not with
What was there was another one that I watched not too long ago. Now I can't. It was the one about of Gods and Monsters, about the making of Frankenstein, which that one was really good.
There's also a very good movie by Russell. What's it called? I think it's just called Gothic, and it's basically. It plays in the night where Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, they all were in like in Switzerland and high, and then came up with all crazy stuff.
Basically, like a competition, like who can come out with the spookiest story.
They had a drunk history about it.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a paper once on it in university on how volcanoes eruptions have an effect on history. Because the year before in Tambora a super volcano broke out, and therefore in the summer in Switzerland it was snowing. Oh, and a lot of share at that time there. And because the weather was so eerie in summer with snow and everything, they decided to write horror stories. So if in a fucking volcano wouldn't have erupted in Tambora, and and everything, put the whole load in the stratosphere, robbing the world of a summer next year. There would be no vampire, there would be no Frankenstein.
Mhm.
So we're gonna get a lot of pandemic horror coming soon.
Probably.
Could be. It's actually, these stories are the best in times of crisis, because people need to find a catalyst for everything what is going on in their head. So it's like this where the 90s were so optimistic, and it was just about nothing because everybody was optimistic for the future, and therefore we got a lot of popcorn entertainment.
Well, I mean, comics in the 80s, a lot of it was, Reagan and Thatcher. Like, Watchmen probably doesn't happen without, or V for Vendetta
Watchmen,
without
V for
Thatcher.
Vendetta. Yep.
Yeah, they live is Carpenter's fuck you to the Reagan era.
Yeah. Reaganomics.
Yeah. And that's also the beautiful thing about Carpenter is what I think it's really missing nowadays in entertainment, where you have where
Social
you really
commentary.
yeah. Now also where you really have two fronts. Like Kurt Russ or John Carpenter always said Kurt Russ is right to Genghis Khan, and John Carpenter himself is more on the left. And yet they both understand each other and have a creative, and clearly have like a friendship and some mutual creative energy going on. And back in the days, I think people were more able to laugh about themselves and see also the flaws on their side. While nowadays, all of Twitter feels like a fucking schoolyard where people are bullying each other from either side. And I think
Cancel
this
culture.
is yeah, and I think this is why currently in comics we're not getting a lot of really good stories compared to the Bronze Age or the early modern age. Especially, you always have these factions like there's too much politics in comics. Now politics always were in comics. Yes, politics always were in comics. Like politics always were in every kind of storytelling. We just had better writers back in the day who crafted a story around it. And nowadays it's very much it's too much on the nose sometimes. I don't fault the writers so much because especially the big two, they don't want to pay anything, and people living when you're working for Marvel and you live in New York and you're getting 30K a year, which is 20K under what you need to live there.
Yeah.
Is this an environment where you really give your everything and put it in the story when you're underpaid?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the industry has some issues they have to work on. They need to pay the creators money they can live with in their country, and I think then we will also get better storytelling.
Definitely. I know Boom is supposedly one of them that pays low.
Yeah, it's. I think there is not really a company out there that really pays well, and therefore you see this, and because of cancel culture, you see a lot of people going to crowdfunding, either if it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and they really make bank there.
I would say it's tough to say. Oh, I hear feedback. I don't know.
Yeah, there's an echo. I don't know.
Sorry. So someone has an echo. Not okay. Sorry. I think that it's incredible that there are creators who are able to crowdfund, because for the longest time, I think that the bigger companies didn't look at a lot of people because of the types of stories that they were telling, or that it just wasn't like mainstream enough. So I think that crowdfunding is a way for people to get content from creators that they like. I think that it's going to be very few and far between if people are going to go towards content creators that, one, is it's a story that they don't know, and two, from someone that they don't know. Because we're never going to see titles like Batman or any of the X-Men or anything like that. Like, we're never going to see a crowdfunded title like that, but we're going to go towards crowdfunding for like creators that we like or stories that we're interested in. So I think that it does give a bigger platform to more diverse stories, which is incredible. But I think that sometimes those big companies, the flip side of that is that those big companies can do a little bit of quality control, but they should be paying for the quality control that they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And they can't tell me that, especially Marvel, they're making millions with these properties in movies, billions.
It's a content farm.
Yeah, and it's sad how people in comics are treated. But like I said, there's actually Dynamite has now crowdfunder for an exclusive Elvira comic one shot about which is written by Elvira and David Avalone, I think. That's how Elvira basically like her experience through the quarantine.
Huh.
And it's on the Omega Man is called the Omega Man, and it already has $67,000 crowdfunded, so it's like way past funding goal. So it's very interesting. If not, like some of the publishers will take some of their characters to crowdfunding to make exclusive comics, which on one side it's interesting, on the other side it's expensive. You have to pay shipping for every book, so there's also a downside to it. And of course, what I would also be very interested in, maybe I have to ask Nick if I can write with him again. If you make a crowdfunding campaign, will the artist and the writer get a cut from the sum if it crushes expectations, or will they just being paid like the minimum they have agreed on before that?
Yeah.
We'll find out with Scott Snyder's book, because that crushed all the crowdfunding and beyond. For that one he's doing with Tony Daniel, I think.
Tony, he's a great artist.
Yes.
But I'm so out of reading anything from Snyder.
Really quick, because I mean, speaking of crowdfunding, one of my friends who I actually like, I've been on his show Radio of Horror several times, is going to start crowdfunding on Kickstarter this like gender bent Dracula story, which is I know that we talked about Dracula Motherfucker, but this is going to be a little bit different, called Vlada, and I'm actually really excited about it. I got to see like a little bit of a preview for it, and he's about to kickstart it next week, actually.
So we are running, like, I got to get ready for work. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, Vigilante, very happy. I've got the link to your channel down in the description. Check out him and Stay Puff. It's weekly, right? You guys?
Yeah. If nothing comes in between, like with work from Stay Puff, like we're doing it, and if something comes in between, I'm just doing like just showing comic books. But it was only once the case, but it's weekly Friday.
Also, Rod, if you're watching this, happy birthday.
Yeah,
I saw that pop up. You've been the best to us, you and John, and you actually influenced me to start streaming, because I was doing edited videos and I hated it. I hate editing. I hate hearing my voice over and over and over. So you can find me at comic_chop_news at Instagram, or Chop Comic on Twitter. Jennifer is at Comics Will Break Your Heart on YouTube. Comic Books Will Break Your Heart on Instagram. And Varangian Vigilante is at Varangian Vigilante. And that is also his YouTube channel. Again, it's down in the description. Comment, like, subscribe. Subscribe to Vigilante and Stay Puff. And thank you, everybody in the chat who showed up. It was great talking movies, horror, comics. And take care, everybody. Be safe.
Bye.